your body graph is going to show you how you're here to process information. When it comes to information assimilation, some people sometimes call it downloading. When you're with somebody and you're having this great conversation and, ooh, Eureka, or wow, got all these cylinders firing. There are different things that we receive, broadcast, and emanate between people. In addition, there's always transits that are constantly moving and affecting all of us. When we look at just a body graph, though, and we analyze the core fundamental nature of your truth, remember, truth is individual, so there's always going to be nuances, subtleties, different times in your life where different things are right for you to do, like working in a small business when you're really not designed for it. Oh yeah, that didn't work. As far as life experience, we experience life through the openness. That's where we develop wisdom. This is where your life is, learning wisdom potential. Remember how I said, look down at your body graph like a business? The open centers being wisdom. There are also places where you may feel somewhat vulnerable. You can get protected by operating in integrity, authenticity, and alignment. This is why it's important to educate yourself on your human design, on your body graph, what you're here for, especially and most particularly if you are so off track. Now, at some juncture, at some point, you're going to get this. In the beginning, I might be saying words that you're like, I don't understand what she's saying. Please do ask. Ask in the chat. What does she mean by this? Ask in the Q&A. I see that there is definitely some conversation to be had there, so enjoy, have fun. There are 5 different kinds of definitions. Single, basic split 2 areas. Think of them like islands. Islands of definition not connected to each other. Triple split, 3 areas of definition. Quadruple split, 4 areas of definition. And then no definition. Now, the very definition of definition means a hard wiring from birth between 2 harmonic sides of a channel. There's a harmonic resonance between 2 gates, planets hanging out there, having a permanent fixedness in this life, and that is your definition. So anything that's hanging off, little tiny gate activations that are just, kind of sprinkled throughout your body graph, those are not defined. Okay, they're not defined. The center may be defined. So if you got a little hanging planet hanging out there, that center is defined, but not the gate that's just hanging. Okay, the gate that's just hanging, they're active. The gate that's just hanging out of a center, we call that dormant. It's a potential. Okay, it's not something that's defined, just to be very clear. It is not defined. The only thing that's defined that creates definition is the permanent wiring. Okay, so we're going to go through each of these permanent wirings so that you can learn how you're here to not only process information, but I'm also going to go a bit deeper today, this time, than we did last time. When we look at remote work, depending on your chemistry, your frequency, a single definition might be one of the easier kinds of creatures, beings, to be able to work alone. Now, there's a lot of different ways in which we can analyze charts and also different channels that do dual, or in this case, triple duty, as in, because of the multidimensionality of a human being, as in, when I'm working alone, sovereign, and in my own frequency, I have a kind of resonance and energetic availability. The moment myself or this being steps into a small grouping, something else comes through us. We are a part of something greater. We call that Pentadynamics when we have a group of 3 to 5 people. Okay, so Lavina with her design up here becomes something more than just she herself. She begins to speak for the group, represent the group. Down here, this is the primary person I'm designed to work with as a projector, working in partnership, a 14 2, or really accordingly to my design, because I have a 14, someone with a 2. Now, as a single definition, going back to this kind, this is the only channel in the entirety of the body graph that has its own frequency individually. And again, when it's working in a small group, and another frequency entirely when it's working in a larger group. So you want to know where the wealth gate is, where the engine that jumpstarts any business is? Hi, that's here, 14, okay? One of the reasons why you see 14s having wealth or not, because there's always this binary. It's yes, there is money or not. So the vast, tragic simplification and homogenization and dumbing down of human design, it's kind of sickening to someone like me who is, yes, admittedly purist, because there are so many different nuances, subtleties, accents, so many different ways in which we can read a chart, depending on the planet, depending on the line quality, depending on the deepening of underneath the color and tone, the frequency, resonance, cadence. This is about being someone who is marching to the beat of their own drum. So working at home alone, not going to make as much money as if they were working in a small or a large grouping, the right large grouping. But you kind of make this decision with your mind. And because it's just a singularly defined person, they may not, and just with this one channel, they may not be able to manifest. Not consistently, not really, can't attract attention to the business. So it might be incredibly dissatisfying to work at home alone. Do you remember how I said with the generator, this is the generator, not as comfortable working at home alone? Generators, many of these are group channels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those channels are group channels. Okay, so please understand as I go through this example that we're looking at in general. Okay, so now we go forward. In general, we're looking at basic splits are going to be more comfortable working in partnership. Hi, that's me. Anybody else? Basic split, 2 areas of definition. So remotely, we're looking at being able to get a connective feel with someone else, either in person or, yes, it does work on the phone. I'm working remotely with you right now. I'm being very productive. Aren't it true? As far as my creativity with you, because you're there and I can talk to you and I'm not distracted by all the energies in the room. I just got you. Okay. So a basic split in general is going to be better in collaboration. Now, your mind might have something consciously defined where the other part is unconscious. You're like, no. But at some level, you're going to learn how, when you decondition and align, you will feel better with the right partner. Okay, basic split, partnership. So working at home remotely, maybe not so productive, or maybe not as satisfying or peaceful, whatever it happens, successful, whatever it happens to be for your frequency. Triple split. Now, this is the most important key I can tell you. If you are trying to work at home alone in your own aura, have you noticed how frustrating, angry-making, embittering that can be, as in you're not really productive? You're not really moving the needle forward. You feel like, God, I got to get out of here. I got to move. Movement is the most important thing for somebody who has 3 areas of definition. You need movement in order to synthesize large amounts of information from the people that you encounter or the groups that you move through. So remote, not as satisfying, successful, peaceful. When it comes to being a quadruple, now this is rarer than a reflector. So this is probably, if you happen to be here, somebody who has already noticed. Do you notice that you like to play favorites between 2 different people? Generally, it's going to be people that are similar in nature to your parents or whoever it was that raised you. So the similarity between a quadruple split and a basic split is that you're looking for very particular people. Partnerships sometimes can be really nice for the basic split and the quadruple split. But the quadruple, because there's so much definition going on, Generally, we'll find somebody who's open and flexible, again, with a similar definition that bridges their split in the way that their parents did back in the day. Okay, so being able to have very particular people, whereas in the basic split and in the quadruple, one of the things that can be used to mitigate the challenges if you're working at home alone in your own aura, for anybody who has difficulty, go out into the public, get some movement, bridge your split in accordance and alignment with your strategy and honoring your authority. Okay, experiment with it, try it and see. See how well it works for thee. Now, when it comes to the reflector remotely, what happens is, again, these are beings who are designed to be at the center, the central hub of their community, their large grouping. Now, large, when I talk about that keynoting, I'm talking about at least 10 people. Okay, 10 people. Whereas if we're looking at people who are simply small group, that would be 3 to 5 people. Okay, so reflectors working remotely, you may find that you don't have much productivity. All right, that's in general. Now let's go through these one at a time. I'm going to show you how much approximately people are actually like thee. When it comes to single definition, about 41%, if you happen to be one of these. Split, 46. So you can see that most of us, generally speaking, are going to be split definition, then single, okay? Triple split, approximately 11%. Quadruple, less than 0.5%. And no definition, the reflector type, 1.5%. Okay, that is the way, at the end of the day, that it lands as far as definition. Now, that makes a huge difference when it comes to you being able to learn about how you work, as well as the people that you're working with, to understand why everybody's so different. Those of you who are projectors, or maybe you're a left angle, the profile, 5'1", 5'2", 6'2", 6'3", as the profile is concerned, you might find you're more interested in other people. So again, remember, I'm speaking in generality, and I will show you some specificity as examples, how I might work with you in coaching, the analysis work that I do, guiding you through self-study courses and working with your charts especially. Now, when you have a single definition, single definitions, you have a problem in the openness. Not really a problem, but your mind thinks it's a problem, so it meddles. It tries to get to do things that aren't necessarily right for you if you're not operating in alignment, as in waiting for response and the energy to arise from inside you. So problems in the open centers. Anywhere there's open centers, you're likely going to think you have a problem. Now, secondarily, we're going to have unconsciously defined centers where your mind says there's a problem here, because the mind only identifies with what is colored in black, the planets there, that's what you think you are. Whereas on the unconscious side, the body, which is the life imprinting, the physical imprinting, the physicality, the physiology, your mind thinks that it has to meddle there too, unfortunately. Sad but true. So undefined centers now are a place of wisdom. We're going to learn from Raw real briefly. I want to read it specifically for you so that hopefully you can get it as far as what I'm attempting to do with you in today's and the continuing classes. He says, if you're being conditioned by your not self meaning anything in the openness, okay, anything white, everything white is your quote unquote not self. You will never, ever get to make the money that's possible in the not self realm, okay? It's only when you're wise about the not self, the openness, and you're following your own clear authority that in your wisdom, you can recognize how to make money out of that, okay? One of the most important things about an open center is that the moment you get past it controlling your decision-making, which means you don't let your mind decide for you anymore, that is the moment that these open centers become the place of wisdom. That wisdom translates into many things. It's not simply about being able to understand what an emotional wave is as it comes into your body, recognizing it's not yours, and becoming more subtle in recognizing the different kinds of emotions that you take in. So it's not just about recognizing what's coming in, but it's about eventually recognizing what the emotional people need. So if we think about what Ra had as a design, he was open, undefined in the emotional system. That's the solar plexus, the triangle that's on the right-hand side as you're looking at the body graph. So if you got it colored in brown, you're defined, like me. Hi. Those of us who, or you, who have it open, then you are learning wisdom about what someone like me, hi, needs, desires, is passionate about, how to, let's say, confront when the truth is necessary to help that defined being be able to get what they need or desire or are passionately yearning, longing for. And that's where the wisdom lies. So in the openness, think of us like puzzle pieces. If you've ever looked at your chart and your chart of the people that you love, as in the people that gravitate to you, oftentimes partnership analysis, be it relationship dynamics in personal or professional, they look like puzzle pieces. Oh, they've got this one and I've got this one. We just snap together. You're going to find that these are the places that are challenging and also fulfilling if you get to the wisdom potential. So I'm going to analyze for you deeper, indeed, looking at what's true just from a mechanical perspective, keeping names and numbers to the best of my ability out of the picture. So here we look at a single definition. We see we have 3 different centers down here that form a giant cabal when it comes to ganging up on each other and causing all kinds of havoc when it comes to out of integrity being. Mental decision-making distorts this person's reality. They're going to try and prove themselves, avoiding confrontation and truth, not knowing what direction or place they should be in. And then up here, mentally, they're going to be lost in all kinds of inspirational things, running around trying to answer everybody else's questions and pretending to be certain, because those are the keynotes of the not self. So if you're doing this thing, then you will have the wisdom potential to flip into alignment. Alignment for this being, because it's a pure manifesting generator. This is the only channel that is purely manifesting in response. You see that we have a single definition. So this being is designed to respond. Wait for the response. Okay? Technically, the definition of a manifestor is energy to throat. But the moment that that red sacral square is colored in, the energy manifestation has to come out of response. Otherwise, it's just frustrating, okay, in general. Now, when we look at the single definition, anytime we look at single definition, we're looking at somebody whose shadows are in the open areas, the white areas of the design, white centers. So then the problem is, because they can manifest super fast, they can initiate, they can, at what cost? They're going to get frustrated. So they're going to skip steps. This person particularly starts too many things, okay? Begins too many things out of their mind, this one. If you're looking at somebody who is an open heart center, you're seeing somebody who promises to, in this case, control and is attempting to be overly controlling. Let's start all kinds of things that we implement in order to prove our value and worth, says the mind. Another thing that's going to happen with this being is that they may not be able to individually make enough money. If they're working at home alone, please understand, I'm talking about remote work at home, alone, in one's own aura, without anybody else to boss around or to tell what to do. Because we've got a 45 who's designed to be the CEO of a large company. That is part of this person's process. Now, working at home alone, oh, can't make the money. Bummer, honey. Doesn't know what makes them unique in the marketplace. So what do? Model themselves after other people's businesses or what their direction, the changing direction a ton. See this one? Doesn't necessarily know where to put the money. He's going to have a lot of money. You got two actually three big wealth gates. Or not, depends, right? But this one, kind of giving it away here by saying it is an actual person. What you're looking at is somebody who is designed to be able to be the spokesperson of a company. 45, okay? Now, he doesn't necessarily want to slow down for others. Why? Because he can. In response, he can manifest. Why slow down for anybody else? You know, he's designed to be concentrated and judgmental, as in insatiably correcting things. He's almost got the entirety of this stream of mastery, almost the entirety of this stream of taste. So whatever's tasteful to him, he's going to go ahead and respond to create. And that problem of not being able to slow down can be an issue, okay? An issue because besides all the openness that we talked about, the mind running the show, this is a particular problem when it comes to the mind's process being open, because you identify with what you think inside of your head about yourself. And instead of following the energy, which luckily a lot of people actually do find what's correct or aligned. They're satisfied, they're successful, they're peaceful, they're surprised, you know, they're on track. Simple signposts. Signposts are the most important thing, okay? So by being somebody who works at home alone in his own aura, not going to make it necessarily. Not always. It's got to be that he operates in integrity. Now, here's a different kind of single definition. Now we have the mind. And this is one of the most common things that you're going to see as far as definition-wise, because there are 3 channels in the body graph that are created from oppositions in the mandala, in the wheel. Okay, so there are 3 most common channels, and these are 2 of them. The background frequency currently is in the 3420 as far as currently what we're moving into. I'm already feeling that energy and working with a lot of people who are like this. I happen to have a 23. Oftentimes these 4323s come to find me because this channel, it is about structuring, is the natural guide, and biologically in the mandala wheel, the correlation genetically is very close to each other. They are right close to each other. They're separated by 1 gate as far as their channels are concerned in the mandala wheel. So not only are they common, but they're also going to be looking for the way to be structured, this one, efficient in its productivity or its capability of generating, manifesting in response. And then this is somebody who is absolutely a leader of a small group, however, only for short periods of time, likely because they're not going to feel satisfied, because they're not necessarily going to have the freedom unless they own that group to move in and out of the group. Okay? Number 45, the owners or the CEO, the spokesperson of a larger grouping. So you're seeing somebody as a single definition who absolutely, in that example, is going to have a very different experience than this one. So please don't misunderstand me. It is about the specificity, always. Always have to look at nuances and subtleties, accents. But you don't have to understand that. All you need to do is experiment. Sometimes knowing the things that I'm telling you about your chart can help you relax and resolve some of the lack of integrity that your mind gets tripped up on as far as trying to do something when it comes to what's happening in the openness. Remember, the openness is where wisdom is. The openness outside of the centers that are all connected is where we have the problem or challenges when it comes to operating at home alone in your own aura. You don't have that connective field to light up the areas of wisdom, the specific learning and wisdom potentials, okay? Learning and wisdom potentials in all of those places and spaces that are open, okay? Open. So definition is a two-way street inside of two different center activations that are hardwired, locked in. Now, let's go through each of these centers and talk about the shadows more specifically. This is another example that we're going to go into. When it comes to the heart center, so each of you who have an undefined heart center, approximately 63% of you, look down and see what that vulnerability might show up like. The vulnerability, again, feels like I have to prove. So on the flip side, you don't have to prove, actually. And I know that can be quite challenging. I remember, do not promise. What do you mean? I have to promise. I have to be there on time. This one. I have to be there fast. I have to do it fast. Making healthy ego statements means being very hyper aware of your I statements. The I inside of the head about yourself. Oftentimes it lies. It says, I must control the situation, when in fact, that's one of the things that you really need to learn to let go of out of integrity, out of alignment. You're going to control everything. You're going to attempt to control people. You can't, not really. Now, when it comes to the solar plexus, our solar plexus in the undefined center, we're looking at people who are avoiding confrontation and truth, lying, leading a secret life in order to protect themselves from the potential backlash of the emotional system. Half the population emotional, therefore approximately half the population unemotional. So I want to ask you a question. In a relationship dynamic, is it important enough to tell them how you really feel? You might have a response to that, or you might actually articulate in this case. Is now the right time? If they're storming around on their wave, probably not the right time. Let them calm down. Is this the right way to approach the situation? You see how I'm asking questions, one topic at a time? This is one of the things that you have to learn how to do, or educate someone else to help you do for you, so that you have that capability of responding. Please don't hide or lie. I know it's hard and difficult, particularly when somebody, a defined emotional person like me, out of integrity back in the day, would get really big and threatening, rageful and angry, upset, blaming, shaming, guilting, faulting in an attempt to manipulate the other to get my way. And at the end of the day, that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't. That's a problem. So if you avoid, hide, or lie because someone like Lavina is going to go down your throat, that's one of the things that, well, one, you learn, okay, that's not a healthy human being for me to be around. But also, two, if they're lording it over you and telling you what to do, that's not going to be healthy, happy for somebody who's a 45. So you learn from the experiential process of what it's like to be with this person versus that person. Okay. When it comes to the single definition with an undefined splenic center, in this case, we're looking at somebody who holds on to things that are not healthy for them. Places, people, jobs, particularly. What is important to learn about is what is healthy, what is safe. So can you relax? Can you loosen up? Can you let go of those things that should not be so in your life? As in, they're not things that bring you satisfying experiences or awarenesses or knowings or sharings or empowerment. This one, remember I said gate 5, routines, fixed patterns, create healthy routines for you so that you don't get dependent on the feel good from whatever addiction may be something that you need to let go of, work or whatever, food, that kind of thing, pleasure. All right. Now, when it comes to the head center, as an example, write things down because you're losing focus and, shiny object syndrome. That's one of the dangers, or trying to answer everybody else's questions. If you write things down, if you keep a digital calendar, can you use apps to stay focused? Would that be fun for you? See what really inspires you? Because this is about inspiration. Biologically, it gives us this capability of, attuning to something that's outside of this physicality. You see how it's outside the body graph, really, poking out that head center. So the capability or the drive to answer questions in you, your mind might say, hey, I have a doubt, but it's not really you. It's you taking in from life, from the other, from life experience as far as the transits, whatever's going on. And if you make decisions because you're doubtful, or you don't follow your response because I have a doubt, it's threatening your ability to be you if you make decisions because of the mental internal conflict between what you think of as yourself, the openness, and what you really came here to be, the definition. Now, last, not least, we have the root in this particular center. What happens is that when you have an undefined root system, this is about pressure, drive, stamina, the ability to use energy judiciously and correctly, not constantly. This is about, instead of trying to be super fast, set realistic deadlines. If it's totally open, as in you don't have any hanging gate activations in that undefined root center, kind of like how this one's totally open, you want to have no deadlines. Don't push yourself. Don't stress yourself out. Learn about stress relief, self-care patterns. This is a very important thing for you. And when we look at these two different, it's like a sandwich, the head center, which is mental pressure, the root, which is physical pressure. We're looking at people who live in a pressure sandwich. So when you're working remotely and you feel like you have to work under deadlines and have to get everything done in a hurry, remember how the manifesting generator can skip steps? Well, then what happens is you're doing everything really fast. Let's say you're a third line profile, you're making a lot of mistakes. And so is that really helpful for one's productivity? No. Slow down, let things take the time that it takes. Only operate in response. Do not push yourself to meet deadlines because you want to prove how valuable you are, or you're trying to make some kind of security on the material plane business happen. It's just going to land you in more frustration. And you won't be able to finish those things that you are designed to start in a healthy way, in a satisfying way. Okay, so when we look at a single definition, again, remember, you process information independently. You're self-contained, as in you don't need another person in order to have information go through all your wirings. Think of the body graph like a circuit board. All the wirings are linked together accordingly with the definition. You can digest information really rapidly. And so what that means then is that it can be difficult for other people to keep up with you. And people like me were not designed to keep up with you. It's a good thing to know. The solution is to follow your decision-making process, your strategy and authority to decondition all these open places, the white places in your design, to allow that to let go of the mind, because that's where the conditioning is. It's in your mind. It also gets locked into the physicality in the body. Once one makes decisions from the openness, now we have the crystallization. If you completely, continually, and always your mind saying, I have to control, oh, what damage can come to the frail mortal heart. And also the masseter muscle, therefore the TMJ, temporomandibular joint. Okay, if you're at the end of the day just making mental decisions, it can really hurt your not only heart, immune system, gallbladder, your stomach, a lot of things going on there. Okay, now staying in your lane, meaning do the thing that's right for you to do. Single definition, this particular channel thinks, I got to do everything. This one, thinking I got to wear all the hats, be all the things to everybody. But doing the thing that's actually right for you to do is going to bring more satisfaction to you. And delegating to somebody who can be in control, and rightly so. Somebody else who you respond to, that has the ability either to guide or co-manage with you, because that channel will work very well between two people if it's the right person. Because you process information independently, It is helpful if you explain yourself when you're, let's say, in response to be able to plan or move forward with confidence, with self-assuredness, with awareness, because all of this information is integrated within your body graph. Now, when it comes to being self-contained, because, yeah, you're independent, you can go your own way, do your own thing, you have a lot of power there. You can do a lot of things. However, if you've got a team remotely, it's helpful to keep others in the loop. Whether you're emotionally defined or not, this kind of being can often work really quickly. In fact, it's worse if you're emotionally defined sometimes, because you've got all this energy and you're trying to make things happen. And if you're not operating in integrity, you're rushing around making decisions on a high or low wave rather than waiting for clarity, which is the authority in somebody who's emotionally defined. So solution being, be yourself. This is the key to wake up in the new reality. Okay? Be yourself, particularly and especially those of you who are generated in nature. Almost 70% of the population generated. You're generative, you're regenerative. If you're exhausted, you're pushing the river uphill and not doing the thing that you're here to respond to.